Hello everyone, this is Warhawk Beyond 2040 and welcome to another edition of the movie review series. And today I am going to be talking about the latest installment for the MCU, Captain America Brave New World, which came out this year in 2025. And this marks the first Captain America movie to feature Sam Wilson, who took up the mantle from Steve Rogers at the end of Avengers Endgame. And this pretty much picks up where we left off from the end of The Falcon and the Winter Soldier. And this also marks the fourth Captain America movie overall in the MCU. And I've just been to see Captain America Brave New World at the cinema. And I can honestly tell you now, after watching this movie, it wasn't great, but it wasn't terrible. I would say it was all right. And while Anthony Mackie and Harrison Ford were definitely the standouts of this movie and they delivered excellent performances, I can't help but feel that this movie felt like two movies. It felt like it was two movies just mashed together. You know, it wasn't entirely sure what it wanted to be. Is this a Captain America movie or is this an Incredible Hulk sequel? Because while it was Captain America in name, they incorporated a lot of Incredible Hulk stuff into this one. Now, did they do this to generate interest? Maybe they weren't confident that Sam Wilson was a strong enough character to carry his own film. I'm not too sure, but you know, I did have a few issues with this movie, and that's not the fault of the cast. I thought the cast were very good in their performances. They did the best they could with what they had to work with. But I felt that this movie just, I wouldn't necessarily say it was all over the place. I think this movie just didn't really know what it wanted it to be because you got Anthony Mackie, who's a tremendous actor. You know, he was excellent as the Falcon. And when Steve Rogers passed down the shield to him at the end of Avengers Endgame, this signified to me, okay, Steve Rogers is retired now. Sam Wilson is the new Captain America. This sets up a whole new future for the character going forward into the next phase of the MCU. And while don't get me wrong, I have accepted Sam Wilson as Captain America, and it definitely came across that way in the movie. Everybody was calling him Captain, and everyone has fully embraced him as the new Captain America, which they really did a good job in sending that message across that, okay, this is our Captain America going forward. He's the guy. And yes, I have accepted that, but I just felt that the writing for this new Captain America movie, it wasn't terrible, but it was quite dull in some parts. And the movie, for the first 10 minutes, started off really slow, and it took a while for things to pick up. I don't know really. I mean, I'm not necessarily saying it's got to be a carbon copy of the previous Captain America movies, not at all. But I just felt that there should have been a little bit more meat in this movie. I mean, I would have liked to have seen more of Sam Wilson trying to take on the responsibility and the legacy that Steve Rogers left behind as Captain America. As I said, if you take the Hulk stuff out of this movie, there wasn't really much else going on. I mean, yes, we've fully developed Sam Wilson in the MCU, and we got to see more of that in the Falcon and the Winter Soldier miniseries on Disney Plus. Maybe it's just me, but as I said earlier, maybe they put the Hulk stuff in this movie because they feel that Sam Wilson just isn't a strong enough character to carry his own film, and perhaps they incorporated all of that stuff to generate interest. And, you know, if you're going to put the Hulk stuff into this movie, you've got to bring Bruce Banner into this one. You've got to at least have a Bruce Banner cameo. I was waiting for it. I was hoping we would see Mark Ruffalo as Bruce Banner, at least for one scene. We didn't get that. I was a little bit disappointed with that because, Banner is referenced quite a bit in this movie. So I thought, okay, we're bound to see Bruce Banner at some point. Maybe we might see him at the end or in a post credit scene. Nope, we did not get to see Bruce Banner at all. And, you know, we got to see the return of the leader, played superbly by Tim Blake Nelson. And this was the first time we had seen him since the end of The Incredible Hulk back in 2008. My God, that's a long time. And his portrayal of the leader was very different to the one I remember from the comics and the cartoons. In the comics and cartoons, the leader had this great big massive green bulging head, and obviously that was not what we saw in the movie. I didn't expect to see that. We probably will next time we do see him. He had half of his brain sticking out, half of his eye was partially blind, but I thought the leader in this movie, he came across as very evil and very sinister, very calm, whereas in the comics and the cartoons, he was a bit more over the top, you know. So says the leader. Obviously, I don't expect to see that kind of portrayal in this movie, but I thought they did a great job with the way they had written the leader as kind of like the brains, no pun intended, behind everything that's going on. So it really makes you wonder, was he the one pulling the strings back in Captain America Civil War with Baron Zemo? It does make you wonder because there was a lot of mind control aspects going on in this movie. The song I Am Blue, where that's like the signal for someone getting brainwashed. So it does really make you wonder if Samuel Stearns was really the one behind all this. And we see General Ross, who has now been recast with Harrison Ford taking over from William Hurt, who sadly passed away. And Harrison Ford, what more can you say, really? Harrison Ford is one of the most iconic actors on the planet. Star Wars, Indiana Jones, Blade Runner. The guy is an absolute true movie legend. And his portrayal of General Ross was very different to William Hurt's. And that's not a bad thing because, obviously General Ross now, he has become the president and he's at a different place now to where he was before. Now, obviously, General Ross is partially responsible for the implosion of the Avengers back in Captain America Civil War. And obviously, he was obsessed for years in hunting down the Hulk and destroying him. So you're seeing him now. He's trying to change. He's trying to do the decent thing. Obviously, he's still got that soldier instinct in him, which you can never really take away. So now we see Sam Wilson and General Ross both in different places in their life. Obviously, the last time they met each other, Sam Wilson was the Falcon, and General Ross, of course, was the General. So now they're in different places in their life, and they've got to reluctantly work together. And I thought that story arc was very well told, and I thought it was well executed. And we constantly see General Ross popping pills, which we do learn the real reason why. And I thought that side of things was very well done and very well executed. And also, General Ross presented the idea to Sam about reforming and putting the Avengers back together. So clearly, going forward, they have plans for Sam Wilson to lead a brand new incarnation of the Avengers. So this movie had a lot of subplots. There was a lot of world building, some setups for future things going forward. And the idea of Sam Wilson leading the Avengers is interesting because obviously, as we know, Captain America led the Avengers. So the idea of Sam Wilson going to the next level and being put in that leadership role clearly says to me that, okay, this is where we're going, this is what's going to happen. So I was intrigued. I thought, okay, I could get behind this if it's done right. Sam Wilson leading a new Avengers team, it could work. Don't know how they're going to pull that off, but I'm intrigued to see that. And we also learned in this movie the reason why Ross was popping loads of pills is because he had kept Samuel Stearns locked away for many years and pumped him up with loads of gamma juice to increase his intelligence. And we also learned that Ross was actually dying. So Stearns, being the guy that he is, he helped prolong his life by pumping him up with gamma juice. And obviously, anybody who knows what gamma radiation does, it doesn't end well. And we saw what Stearns already did with Emil Blonsky, helping him to become the Abomination. We see here Ross becomes the Red Hulk. Now, the Red Hulk was a character that appeared in the comic books back in 2008, and he's been featured a little bit in animation. He was in the Avengers cartoons, but he's never been in live action. So obviously, that was what they were heavily building up to. If you go by the trailers, the Red Hulk. So I thought the CGI for the Red Hulk looked fantastic. I thought they really did a good job with the Red Hulk. But again, while seeing the Red Hulk was the highlights of this movie, and seeing Sam Wilson going at it with the Red Hulk was excellent. That was probably the best scene of the whole movie. In the back of my head, geeker side of me was saying to me, you know, really, this should have been in the Hulk movie. You know, this should have been in a Hulk sequel. Because I love the Hulk. Hulk is one of my all-time favorite Marvel characters, and obviously this is something that could be discussed in a separate video. But I still have to really say this: the Hulk stuff that we got in this movie should have been at least two more Hulk films. The idea of Ross becoming a Red Hulk, we should have got that in a third Hulk movie. This is what we should have got. And it was great, seeing Stearns getting into Ross's head, let that rage go, let everybody see who you really are, and you see Ross's eyes starting to glow red. I was getting chills because I was sitting there in the cinema thinking, okay, I hear that sound. That sound's not good. We know what's coming. It's just a matter of when. And when we didn't get it, I thought, oh, sorry guys, we didn't get it. But in the end, we finally did, and it was amazing to see that. The Red Hulk, up close and personal in all his smashing glory, no pun intended. Yeah, that was definitely the highlight of this movie. And I knew going in that Brave New World was never going to top the previous Captain America movies. I still go on record to say that Captain America the Winter Soldier is the best Captain America movie ever. The first Avenger movie was a great origin story. Civil War, yeah, they kind of shoehorned Captain America stuff and the Avengers stuff, but it was still a pretty good movie. I've always looked at it more as an Avengers movie than a Captain America movie, but it was still good. But The Winter Soldier was excellent. Brave New World, it was all right, but I'm hoping when we do get a sequel, which I think we're going to, especially with the way this one ended, hopefully they can improve on it. So, you know, we also see Captain America's new partner, who is Joaquin Torres, who is kind of like his new Falcon. He was cool. He was a really cool character. You know, Joaquin Torres, he is like a young Latino Bucky Barnes, always eager to help his pal out. So I like that. I thought he was a really cool character. I can definitely see him in the new Avengers movie going forward, as part of a new team that Sam will lead in the future. Definitely can see that. We get a reference about adamantium, which of course we know is a huge part of the X-Men mythos as far as mutants and especially Wolverine is concerned. So we had little references, as I said earlier, little subplots, world building, and setups for future MCU story arcs going forward. But as I said, if you take the Hulk stuff away, there really wasn't much going for it. And we are introduced to a former Black Widow, Ruth Bat Sapir. I thought they tried to make her like Natasha Romanoff, but she was pretty much like her own character. But I can't help but feel they were really trying to push her in that Scarlett Johansson portrayal. But she's more her own character, but I really feel they should try and build towards that. Don't try to make her a Black Widow 2.0. But overall, this movie, as I said, was all right. And, the whole story arc with Samuel Stearns trying to start another war, that was interesting. But again, I think that could have been more for a Hulk movie than a Captain America movie. But another highlights for me that I didn't really see coming, but it was welcomed, was definitely a cameo from Bucky Barnes. And it was great to have him there for one scene and give Sam a pep talk and telling him that, no, you're not Steve Rogers, you're your own man. Steve chose you for a reason. You're a good person. You don't need the super soldier serum to be Captain America. It's your heart that makes you Captain America. And I thought that was a really good, powerful scene and definitely something that was needed for this movie. And Bucky Barnes is right. Sam Wilson isn't Steve Rogers. He never will be. He is his own man. And I think that could have been a story they could have pushed more. Sam Wilson trying to live up to the legacy of the legendary Captain America. And I'd like to see more of that going forward in the next movie because, Sam Wilson has all the skills to have his own trilogy going forward in the next few phases of the MCU. But we just need to get the writing more on point. Less of other characters' story arcs, more on his own story. And I think going forward, we could be onto a winner because Anthony Mackie's a great actor. He done a really good job. His performance was tremendous, but I just feel the writing wouldn't necessarily hurt him. It kind of held him back a bit. I thought, come on, we know what he can do. We've seen it before. Give us something. So I think that scene with Sam and Bucky, I think that really helped things push forward into the future. So hopefully we'll see some more things like that in the near future. But, as I said, this was a decent watch. I enjoyed it. And there was no way it was ever going to top the previous Captain America movies. There was no chance in hell. But as a movie on its own, it was pretty solid. And, the stuff with Ross turning into the Red Hulk and him popping pills was awesome. Seeing the leader in a much bigger role was great. And, you know, the cameo from Betty Ross at the end. with Liv Tyler reprising her role was definitely welcomed. It was great to see her. Liv Tyler looking awesome as always. I really wished we got a cameo, as I said before, from Mark Ruffalo as Bruce Banner, just mainly because we've not really seen Liv Tyler and Mark Ruffalo have any interaction in any MCU movies. And it just would have been cool to see that, Banner coming in and say, hey, Ross, could have said, I'll do everything I can to help you, or something like, well, now you know how I feel. It's not good, is it? I don't know, something like that. It just would have been nice to have had a Bruce Banner cameo. I was waiting for it, I was hoping for it, but we didn't get it. And we got a post-credit scene where Sam Wilson went to see Stearns in prison, and he warned about a coming attack from other worlds. So obviously that's alluding to the multiverse. So we'll see how that's going to play out in the next few MCU movies, because obviously they're building up to Secret Wars and Doomsday. So obviously we will see that at some point. But for the most part, as I said, this movie wasn't terrible, but it wasn't great. It was all right. And my overall rating for this movie, I will give this one an honest 7 out of 10. You know, it was a bit more than normal. It was okay. I wouldn't give it like a 5 out of 10 because that's kind of average. I'll give it a 7 out of 10. Obviously, if you're getting past to the 8, then that's really good. But I would say 7. I can only be honest because this film definitely warranted a 7 out of 10. But the Hulk stuff, while it was good, I think really that could have been used for Hulk sequels in a Captain America movie. Because sometimes when I was watching this movie, I was thinking to myself, is this a Captain America movie or an Incredible Hulk movie? Because it kind of felt like it was somewhere in between, in the middle. But overall, it was a decent watch. And as I said, I'll give it a 7 out of 10. So hopefully, going forward, the next Captain America movie will be better. Fingers crossed. So anyway, that's going to be it from me. I'm going to wrap this up now. What did you guys think of Captain America Brave New World? Did you enjoy it? How do you think Anthony Mackie did as Captain America in his first film as the new Captain America? Do you think he did a good job? Do you think the writing could have been better for him? Or do you think it was okay for what it was? And also, do you think we should have got a Bruce Banner cameo from Mark Ruffalo? Do you think maybe he should have been in this movie? And what did you think of the appearance of the Red Hulk? Did you enjoy that? Was that the highlight for you? And also, what about the leader coming back? Do you think they did a good job with him? Do you think we'll see the leader again? And what do you think he was alluding to about the others are coming? You know what to do, guys. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, leave your thoughts and comments down below, and I will see all of you next time for another edition of the movie review series. So until then, take care, everybody, and stay safe. And once again, as always, much appreciated. Thanks for listening.